Hey, comic book collectors, do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCon15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.
Welcome to the one and only Comic-Con Podcast, your podcast for comic book news, reviews, and comic community drama, with your hosts, Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manimal. Are you listening?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Comic-Con Podcast, Season 4, Episode 25, recording this on June 19th, 2024. Your hosts are here. What's going on, Mr. Zack, Mr. Manimal? How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Just living life. Got some family in town this week. Sister and the nieces and nephew and brother-in-law are all in town. So showing them Virginia, DC, and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, you were out and about today when we were talking. So
yeah,
that was really awesome. Yeah, I got to enjoy, since today is the 19th, Juneteenth. I was off from work today, so I just kind of hung out and did some yard work and enjoyed the pool. So
how's the weather up in Jersey? Because it's hot as
it's so hot.
Down here.
It's so brutal up here. And I started trying to clean the pool, and then I realized that my hose broke. So then I really had to go out to the pool store and get a whole new hose and everything. It was just a whole big, $75 later.
Yeah.
So
it's because last week was beautiful, man. It was like high 80s, good wind. Like it was, that was the perfect weather. So, and then of course family comes in town and it's hot, right? So,
yeah. But so we've been talking about a show that we're going to, right? Like every week, small show. We've been talking about this every week, and I feel like it's a 3-day show. We're bringing so many people. We're setting up at the show. We're going to be doing a variant, exclusive, and
we've mentioned it a couple times.
We've mentioned it like maybe once or twice, right? Not many times.
Every episode, once or twice, like every episode.
Yeah, I think we talk about this as being the best show that we literally anytime I go to a convention, people are always asking me, how does it compare to Terrificon? How does it compare to Terrificon? And I go, listen, I've been to a bunch of shows, MegaCon, Baltimore, and I always say, listen, you want to come to Terrificon? It's an indoor casino. Yeah. It's a clean casino, and it's an amazing show for comic books, because that's obviously what we talk about. So with that being said, I think we have to introduce our guest. We have the one, the only Mitch Hallock, the promoter of Terrificon, on our show this week. That's all. Mitch, how are you?
I'm fine, Justin and Zach. Hey, Zach, where in are you in Arlington?
I actually work in Arlington, but I'm down in Fredericksburg.
Oh, okay. My son lives in Arlington. That's why when you were talking, I picked up there, because he lives he works at a company called Accenture.
Okay.
And it's right off of Fairfax Avenue, or whatever it is over there. He's over there.
I'm still a little. I've only been out here since like end of April. I actually work in like Crystal City part of Arlington.
Oh, the underground city there? That little weird underground mall thing?
No, it's right by like Reagan Airport.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Crystal City. It's almost like a little suburb of Arlington. But
he moved down there last year, so I've been going back and forth. He actually came up this weekend, but I'm sure people don't really care about my son where he lives and stuff, but they want to know about comic books.
Absolutely. Right? So listen, that's actually interesting that Mitch, you knew something that I didn't know, having a guest on here with Zack.
Yeah, I'm actually now interested. Well, real quick before we move on, because I want to know, because I'm trying to figure this out, this whole East Coast living thing, because I just came out from El Paso, Texas. So when you come down here, do you drive, or how do you get down in the city? Do you take
drive? I drive. Yeah, 7 hour. My son came up on Friday night to surprise me for Father's Day. What sucks is because I was going to Fan Expo on Saturday, because I had to go meet Charlie Cox and a bunch of other stuff. And he drives 7 hours from Arlington to Connecticut. But then he turned around and went back on Sunday. But for some reason on Sunday, it only took him like 6. So whatever. There's no traffic. But.
Yeah, I was planning out Terrificon this year, and the wife and I coming up, and like, it's about 7 to 8 hour drive. And I was like, let's just fly into Rhode Island and cruise on over from there.
You could do that. You could do that. So. Again, people don't care, but there's these little flights to New Haven, Connecticut, my hometown. from Baltimore that are like $100 round trip, something stupid.
Yeah.
So you could look into that if you want.
Mm.
And if anybody's out there listening and wants to come to Terrificon, you can go look in air flights, trains. There's a train that'll let you right off at the New London train station, which is a mere 10 minutes away from the Mohegan Sun Expo Center.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, it is. You can take the Acela, that fast train, and it's like 5 hours. You can get a couple.
Oh, I just took the Acela from Jersey to DC for my job, and
yeah,
it skips a lot of stations.
Yes, it does.
Which is the time on that, Justin?
Yeah, you don't want to go to Trenton.
You would take that out of DC. Zach,
yeah.
How long did it take you?
For me, from DC to New Jersey was like 2 hours.
Yeah, Newark.
Yeah, no, Metro Park, literally like around the corner from where I'm at. So, yeah, nice. I mean, I can't imagine being, a little bit, maybe an hour and a half more to get up to Connecticut.
Way better than driving. Don't do all the stupid toll roads too, man.
Oh, that's right.
God, it's brutal.
Yeah, Zach's new to the East Coast with all the tolls and everything that's going on here. So.
This makes me angry as a Texan. That's pull out my 6-shooter and just want to start firing off shots. But
well,
let's get into it.
Yeah, you're tuned into On the Road with Zach and Justin.
Yeah.
All about the back roads of the Northeast.
So, Mitch, we brought you on here because we could talk about Terrificon as much until we're blue in the face. But having you on here, I think you kind of really seal the deal. So you started Terrificon in 2015, but kind of give us like a little bit of a background. Like, how did you decide to start this, and and just kind of make it what it is today? And we're gonna get into everything.
I got to start shortening these answers up because they go on for hours. But the long and short of it is lifelong comic book fan from 4 or 5 years old. I'm 57 now, so it's been a long time. Went to school for art. Wanted to be a comic book artist. Wanted to be John Romita Sr. That didn't work out. I ended up becoming a graphic designer and worked in an ad agency. Was the art director, creative director, marketing VP. Ended up calling John Romita to help me out on a project, which was bizarre. And he answered the phone and he helped me out. And then what happened? Then I got offered a job at Marvel and I turned it down because they didn't pay a lot of money. Then I got a job offer at DC, but I turned that down because they didn't offer as much money as Connecticut. So long story short, opportunity comes up. I'm working at a software company. It's like talking about paint drying. I can't stand it. I mean, everybody knows, like every Wednesday I would disappear at lunchtime to go to the comic shop.
Oh, of course.
And just like, come alive. And when I was at the work talking to the software geeks that were doing all the techno stuff, because they were all into what I was into, comics and Star Wars and Doctor Who, my hands would fly around and the CEO would see me. He goes, why don't you have that much passion when you're talking about our document management software at the convention? You just look so bored. But when I see you in the hallways, your hands are flying. You're very theatrical. You're imitating the things. I go, well, because I'm into that. I'm into comics. I'm into movies. That's what I really love to do. But unfortunately, that's not the way that life works. You can't do what you love to do. You got to go to work. They don't call it going to fun. They call it going to work. It's a 4-letter word. So I know how to do marketing, advertising, billboards, websites, you name it. So an opportunity comes up. Somebody says, hey, do you want to help with a comic book convention? We need to promote it. I'm like, hey, I could do that in my sleep. Then the opportunity came up, like, do you want to run a comic book convention? I said, yeah, it's not that hard because I literally was doing software conventions in Vegas and Disney World and San Francisco and New York City. And we're talking multi-million-dollar, $25 million freaking product launches. And, you're giving away a convertible Mustang, which we did one year, and all this stuff and smoke and laser lights. And you're coming up on stage like Steve Jobs and they're playing the 2001 music. And, it's so BS, it's all bullshit. And, because at the end of the day, you're killing yourself to do all this work to promote and sell and get everybody all jazzed up to make somebody else richer. It's like, well, I'm just getting the same paycheck I'm getting every week. I don't care how good we do it. But if I could turn that energy to a power of good instead of evil and make it like a comic book, man, then you're all right. So sure enough, first show I did, one-day show from like 11 to 5, there's 3,500 people at a one-day show, brand new. That's pretty impressive. So we'll do it again next year, see if it was a fluke. Well, next year, 5,500 people show up. along with the fire marshal, the police department, because we had overloaded it was one of those like wedding hotels. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, like have like, proms and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, congratulations, you've got 5,500 people at a place that's only designed to hold about 1,300 people. I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's bad. You've broken several fire laws. I'm like, oh my God. So you can't come back here again.
And where was this? In New Haven?
This was in Trumbull. This is literally right where I live, like about 4 miles from where I live. So I can get out of, I could go home quickly if the police came to raid it. But then I go to a hockey arena 10 years ago this summer. And, it's like where they have rock concerts and hockey games and basketballs. And you're like, oh, yeah, we can fill that. And we did. A 3-day show, 14,000 people show up. Wow. The line stretches around the block. It's right here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's the biggest thing that's happened there in like 30 years. Mayor's involved. They want to do like a week-long celebration, on and on and on and on. But then it just got, everybody wants to raise the rent. They want money. I'm like, I can't afford this, because the guy's like, I'll double the rent. I'm like, forget about it. Mm. So then Mohegan Sun, where we are now for the last 9 years, they see it. They read the newspaper. They see the show. They call me up. They go, hey, would you like to bring your show 75 miles away from where you are and put it up at our casino? And I'm like, well, I don't know. No one's ever really done a comic book convention at a casino, as far as I know. Will it work? Mm-hmm. Well, 18,000 people that year. So it did work. And then we've been there ever since, and we've been getting bigger and bigger. And we went from a small convention center to a 300,000 square foot expo center, which I just sold the last booths tonight before we were on the air. And I was like, oh my God, I was counting up spaces, trying to allot for where Scotty Young's going to go, where Jim Lee's going to go, where Charlie Cox going to go. I'm going, okay, this is nuts. I literally have filled another arena, I mean, it's like Seinfeld. I need to start doing levels. They need to start building
levels. Everything needs to be leveled, like Kramer's apartment. Yeah,
exactly. Because I'm like, there is no more room at this thing. I've just filled it, and then people come in there for that. Let alone that's the space and the guests and the actors and the artists and the writers. Then you got all the fans that come in. That's like 20-something thousand people. I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, long story short, there you go. That's the history of it, and that's how I started. And that's how I still do it. And I'm sure people are, falling asleep at their earphones right now. So
it's really cool. I've heard, Justin and I known each other for, well, at least season 4. So 4 years for sure. Even knew each other 5 or 6 years. And I've been hearing him and Otto and all the guys talk about.
Oh yeah. Otto. Yeah. He's always at the shows. Yep.
Yeah. Talking for years, but I've been down, in El Paso, Texas for so long. It's like, oh man, that's a trek trying to get up to Connecticut. Yeah. And 2 years ago, I went out there, and honestly, I've been to, besides New York Comic Con, I've been to like all the big cons. And I'm not, I was telling the wife this just like yesterday or a couple days ago. Like, I'm not really like a big con person. Like, I like cons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, I like the people. I'm going for like the social aspect more than anything else. Like, I'm not a big signature stuff like that. Like, I like to see it all. But it's the more social aspect. And I loved Terrificon that first year I went, just because, like Justin had said, he had sold it completely correctly, where it's like, it's self-contained. You're there. You're not walking on site, trekking back like blocks away to your hotel or grabbing an Uber. You get dinner. I also love the fact that, like, hey, I really like that book. Let me go just run the craps table a little bit and see if if I can go buy that book.
I've seen people do that. I've seen people buy some good Golden Age and Silver Age books because they hit a slot machine. I'm like,
So
and
then the accessibility for like the celebrity, so to speak, like the guests as well. Like Justin, who did we see? That we rode the elevator with.
Stephanie Phillips.
Stephanie Phillips, yeah.
Oh, she'll be coming back this year. Yeah, Stephanie's on the film. Yeah. You know what it is? It's like when we were doing the one-day shows. I used to run my kids, like they call it the Fathers Club. It was like the PTA. So I used to do all the fundraising events. So all I would do is just adapt the stuff that I knew how to do for software conventions and just make it for like, a local community event. Like, hey, let's get everybody all jazzed up. Let's do music. Let's do this. So let's bombard so much stuff that you don't know where to go. You don't know if you want to go over there and meet Stephanie Phillips. You don't know if you want to go watch a panel. You don't know if you want to go get a sketch. You don't know if you want to get an autograph. There's stuff going on everywhere at Terrificon. I mean, I like to say I want people exhausted. I want people to be falling down on the ground, sound asleep. When they go hit that pillow at night, they're out like a light. I mean, I want you to go, Jesus God, did I get my money worth? Because I had my kids. I used to go to shows. I used to go, there's nothing worse than driving all the way into like New York, taking my 2 sons with me. They're bored in 20 minutes. And I'm like, I just spent how much money on parking? How much money on the show? There's got to be something to do. So I always kind of consider the value and your time and your money. And I'm glad Mohegan Sun, the parking's free. So there's $30 or $40 you save right there, or 50. I was in Boston. I forgot. I was one day. I went to the parking spot. I went to pay. It was like $48. I'm like, you know how many comics or toys I could have bought with $48, you know? And it's just that thing. And then when we started doing the shows, I remember John Wesley Shipp, The Flash. He was my very first media guest I ever had. And he grew up, his dad was a preacher down south. And he loved when we would do our shows because we were doing comedy sketches with the local DJs during the show. We had the costume contest. We were doing trivia contests. We were just doing lightsaber battles with Superman versus Darth Vader. We were doing all this hokey stuff, you know? And he said, this place has got like an atmosphere or a vibe, like you're at a backyard carnival or you're at your like local church and everybody, you know, like, you know, the guy down the street, there's the mailman, there's the milkman, there's the guy that runs the gas, and you're all like a community and you're all coming together once a year. And it's like a big party and everyone's having fun and everyone's laughing and all that. And you don't want it to end. And then it does. And then you go, well, I can't wait till the next one.
Yeah. So it's almost like a family reunion.
It is. My God. Every year I'm like, hey, and I start to remember his name because I see people come back year after year after year. So that whole atmosphere, if you want to call it, that was in the small shows. And the cool thing is, even though we've gotten bigger at a 300,000 square foot, 25,000 people, it still maintains that home feeling, you know what I mean? That local feel, even though it's much bigger and there's bigger guests and there's more crowds and stuff, but there's still that element of like, oh, there's Mitch and there's his wife and there's his Uncle Bob running the candy counter. You know what I mean? It's like like a little local movie theater you go to, and everybody there, the ticket takers and the ushers and such, So I think that's part of the success of the show. Like you said, when you go to it, you just have fun and you see your friends, you see Otto, you see all the other comic collector guys, you see the other podcasters, and then some of the creators will come to know you by name because they see it shows and hey, how you doing, buddy? And next thing you're having a drink with Howard Chaykin or you're shooting the crap with Jerry Ordway or something, it's like, wow, did I ever think when I was 12 years old reading whatever comic that I'd be sitting here with Chris Claremont now talking about the weather? And here you are. And that happens every time,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been going since 2018, I know you know Everett because, local shows and stuff like that.
I'm in every show every weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. And I went from going like 2 days to 3 days to going Thursday through Sunday. And now this year I'm doing Thursday through Monday, there's just so much to do and so many people that you want to hang out with. And, we've literally been talking. I'm in a group chat at Zack, myself and a couple Canadians, we got Canadians coming down.
Those Canadians, you got to worry about those people. Salt of the earth, those Canadians.
Don't worry. We'll take care of them.
No, I have a couple Canadian volunteers every year. They fly down from like Manitoba for 12, 14 hours and they work like crazy all weekend, so. But,
that's what it is. Like, we don't really get to see a lot of people all the time. Yeah. We've talked up this show every year and, Otto talks it up and it's just such an amazing show that you really want to get as much time you can with being on the showroom floor, having fun after. And like you said, just like running into people. Yeah. I remember one of the first years that I stayed at the hotel, I went and got breakfast downstairs and I'm sitting next to Peter Tomasi. And we're just talking Batman and Robin. And I'm like, Pete, check out my tattoo. I got this amazing Batman tattoo that was done by Pat Gleason when he was on.
Yeah, Pat Gleason, love him. Yeah.
And we're having like just a cool back and forth conversation about stuff. Yeah. And it was just like, that's what you could do. Like run into people just randomly.
Like you said, because it is so self-contained. There's like 50 different restaurants there. And if you're into gambling, there's nightclubs, there's music, there's a mall. There's stuff to do everywhere, and it's in beautiful countryside. There's like, go outside and there's like not buildings. It's not like New York City. There's actually trees and a river and it's quiet and it's like nature stuff, So there's that part of it too. And like you said, I've had Franco, my friend, the artist and writer. He says it's like going into a submarine sometimes. You go in on a Thursday. Yeah. you pop out on a Monday and you're like, what's going on? Who's president? What year is it? Because you just lose track of time for 4 or 5 days, and before you know it's over. It's literally only 17 or 18 hours. When I look at the floor plan and I do the scheduling for the panels and all that, I count it up. It's only like 17 hours. It seems like forever when I plan it out, but once it's there, it's like a wedding. Before you know it, it's 5 o'clock on Sunday, and we're emptying it out for another year and packing Thanos statue away, and we'll see you next time.
I think the thing that surprised me the most was, Justin had told me like, oh, it's at a casino and stuff, and
yeah,
I was like, okay, and then you get there, and I'm like, well, this is actually like it's like a Vegas style casino. Like it very much, I mean, I don't want to say it's not like the nicest Vegas casino, but it's on par with some of the, middle of the pack Vegas casinos for sure. And the submarine talk, I mean, that's Vegas, right? Where you go into Caesar's Palace and time stops and you come out and there's like, wait, there's a whole other world outside this like oxygen infused location.
No, it was at one point. I don't know if it still is. It was the second largest casino resort in North America, so it was
really
pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah,
Square
it's really,
footage
really
wise,
nice.
and if you can think about it, it's got a full-fledged arena that they have concerts and basketball games and all that. And
Shane Gillis is that week.
Yeah, he's there all 3 nights. Yeah,
I know, and it's not sold out. I'm so pissed.
Is it sold out?
Well, I don't know if it's sold out now, but I remember when I was looking, I was trying to get 2 tickets, but you could get one alone and then the other one like the other side of the arena.
I'll let you in on a little secret. Hang out. Well, you'll be at the show, but if you go just before the doors open, they do a ticket drop up 45 minutes before the show. And sometimes you can get
some one of the leftover stuff.
You can get left because what they do is they'll give tickets to the high rollers.
Yeah.
And they might not come to the show for whatever reason. They'll get like comp tickets and they don't want them, and then they say just dump them, and then they just sell them.
Cool. So interesting.
But anyway, so there's an arena. There's us. We're in the Expo Center. There's the old convention center, which, by the way, that weekend will be the Basketball Hall of Fame dinner. So you're going to see tons of legendary basketball players wandering the resort. Yeah, that's another thing.
Awesome. That's great.
And it is what it is. I mean, man, we've done shows some year where we had Alice Cooper playing over at the arena on a Sunday night. And you're there on Sunday morning and you're walking around the show and you go, I think that's Alice Cooper. And it was. He was a comic book fan, big Neil Adams fan, and he just put a baseball cap on, but it's hard to disguise. He's got all these tattoos, And it was him. And we've had Brian Posehn, the big comedian with the beard. He's been on
Rifters.
He
just wrote Rifters.
He married Reed and Sue in the Fantastic Four #2 movie. He was the preacher. So he was there buying Legos one year. I'm like walking around going, what are you doing here? And he was performing at the comedy club that's in the Mohegan Sun. So he just took some time off and went and buy some Legos. So he was wandering around. And Charles Soule is there this year. Charles Soule is actually there almost every year, but he doesn't come as a guest. He comes as a fan, an attendee. He buys a ticket, and I'll be walking through, and I go, Charles, what are you doing here? Shh, don't tell anybody I'm here. And we had a bunch of people like that. A lot of professionals from New York will come in and just hang out, meet with their friends, and hang out for the weekend, get dinner, and go to a show or something. But they're not announced guests. So people will be like, isn't that so-and-so? Like, yeah. So that happens a lot. We almost had John Byrne one year. That's what kills me to this day.
Yeah,
he's my number one on my dream guest list. And Joe Sinnott was there. God rest his soul. And he came up in 2018. And John Byrne wanted to have dinner with Joe Sinnott. And he was on the I-95 driving down to come to the event, Terrificon. And Joe wasn't feeling well. He was very old, and he was in a wheelchair. And he just didn't feel well, so he didn't go to dinner. So Byrne found out that Joe was going home, so he just turned his car around and went right back to his house and never came to the show. But he was this close to coming to Terrificon. So
I think Charles Soule is who I'm most looking forward to.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm a huge Charles Soule fan, and I really want to meet him and for sure.
Well, he'll be there. I have to do the final schedule, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with everybody.
Force him to come to our table.
Oh yeah, God, we want to do so much. Yeah, Jesus, and anything, whether it's writing Star Wars stuff or
or Daredevil or Jesus,
all the new stuff. The Shot of College stuff is my jam right now. Hell to Pay and Bloody Dozen, all that.
Yeah. Plus, he's written other novels that have nothing to do with comics. I've heard the Oracle Year. I'm actually listening to one now because he's a
10
cool
billion,
dude.
8 billion genies as well. It's a big one.
Yeah. So Charles is a cool guy.
But you got a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I've seen you. I've in a couple of group chats I'm in, and even speaking with a lot of comic book content creators or people in the community.
Yeah.
People are like, "Man, Terrificon's rivaling New York Comic Con, if not better." And I'm like, "Yeah." Mitch is like just putting like, and do you think, Mitch? This is a question. Do you think this is because it's in August and not in July, like right after San Diego?
Or? Well, there is some of that. I'll tell you that there is some of that. I used to be in August, and then what happened right after the COVID year, we came back. Everybody was scrambling to get event dates again, and my show was going to be on the same weekend as Boston Fan Expo, and you don't want to go against the same show when you're about 100 miles away, because we have the same vendors, we have some of the same attendees, and people. You don't want people to choose which one to go to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to Mohegan, "Do you have any open dates?" And they go, "Well, we actually have the last weekend in July." So we moved to the last weekend in July, which was fine because it put us far enough away from Fan Expo, like by 2 weeks, so people had time to go to both shows. The problem is San Diego Comic-Con was the week before, and a lot of the big name comic creators would just tell me flat out, "Look, I love your show. I want to go to your show, but it's so close to San Diego. I'm just exhausted. I got too many commissions. I can't go there one weekend and then just turn around and fly across the country and go to your show because it's just too much back." So this year, San Diego moved to my date, which why, you know? And it was at the show when I found out last year. So I had to call Mohegan up on a Sunday and beg them. I'm like, "Look, I don't want to be the same weekend as San Diego Comic-Con because I'm going to lose a lot of guests." And they go, "Well, we got a weekend in August." And then I'm like, "Oh, great. I got to go to Fan Expo." So I call Fan Expo. They moved to June. So I'm like, "Oh, this is fantastic." So I had no big shows next to me. And there you go. And I don't know, maybe if it is just because it's right in that sweet spot between New York and San Diego, but we started getting a lot of people that I've been asking for years. So we got Scotty Young, we got Jim Lee coming, and you know, this is just like the top of the pyramid for me. We got Adam Hughes coming this year, and it's just great. So I don't know what all the stars aligned to make everybody show up, but now I'm in the situation where I told you I'm turning away guests for this year because there's just not enough room in the house. And I'm telling people to come next year. So I have the dates for next year. So I'm already lining up guests for 2025. But yeah, for whatever reason, everybody's coming this year. And I don't know. Don't jinx it. It's like a no-hitter. You know, just be happy.
You said it. Oh, you said it. Why would
you can't talk about a no-hitter? What are you doing?
Hey, man, what are you talking about? I don't know. What'd I say?
So, how do you do it? It's like every year. I mean, obviously it changes, right? But then you have other problems with like the dates and everything in line and stuff.
Yeah.
But like every year, do you kind of come into, okay, so 2023 ends, right? And you're like, okay, this is what I want for 2024. Or do you just kind of make up a plan? Like, you know what, I'm just going to kind of keep it the same. It works out well. Do you set a new goal each year? What's the plan?
I do, because it's like the what do you call it? The sophomore slump when you're in records. You don't do a big hit record album, and the next thing everyone's like, "Well, what are you going to do next?" And they're all waiting for you to fall. So you're your own worst enemy. So every year when I go, "Oh my God, I'll never be able to top this year's show," and then it's like, well, that's it. You just made yourself a goal to strive for, because you go, well, this show was great, but next year's got to be greater. So I don't know what I'm going to do next year, to be honest with you, because I'm like, I think next year's the 10th year at Mohegan, but this year feels like the 10th year because it's like everything's happening. Everybody's coming this year, you know. But I sometimes I pick themes, like who's an anniversary or what big movie's coming out. Like we've done the Spider-Man 60th anniversary, the Superman 80th anniversary. I know we did a salute to Batman. This year was Daredevil's 60th anniversary. So I started planning a year ago, like, let's get Charlie Cox. Let's get as many Daredevil creators as we can. So that's why you're going to see Lee Weeks there, Mark Waid there, Charles Soule there, Aaron Cooter's there. Anybody that ever worked on Daredevil is there. Because years ago, I did a Spider-Man panel. I think it was the 40 or 50th year of Spider-Man. I can't even remember what it was. And I got everybody you can imagine. I got Dan Slott, Roger Stern. I can't think of his name right now. Did the Craven's Last Hunt. He was there. J.M. DeMatteis. I had an all-star lineup of Spider-Man writers, and it was called The Amazing Spider-Men. That was the panel name. 30 years of the web slinging wonder. And all those guys were on one panel, and lots of them met each other for the first time. And they talked for an hour and a half about their times on Spider-Man. And I was like, wow, this is actually a really cool panel. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there going, I got to go run a show because
you got to go to work, right?
I literally listen to your guys' shows and Otto and all these YouTube videos. When the show's over for the following month, I just sit there on YouTube and Google the word Terrificon 2023 or 4, whatever year it is, just to see the videos of the panels and what happened. Because it's like a wedding. You don't see anything. You don't see,
of course,
right?
Your guests, the cutting of the cake, the first dance. You miss all that stuff. So I'm literally catching up. Like, oh, that happened. Oh, that's what. Oh, yeah. And my wife would kill me because I used to host the panels. I used to literally disappear and host the panels because that was the only time I'd get my guests. And I could actually talk to them for 45 minutes. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm asking all the nerdy questions I've always wanted to ask because I'm the guy running the panel.
Right.
But now she's like, I'll kill you if you go disappear for a couple hours. I'm like, all right. I've retired from hosting panels as it is. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm always working. I'm always at shows every weekend. I'm constantly asking new guests, people I haven't had before. I'll go to Baltimore. I'll go to New York. I'll go to Boston. I just drive up and down the 95, hitting conventions and writing to people and saying, hey, I would really love if you can come to my show. And, here's why you should come to it. La, 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 la. And it wears them down. I mean, some of these guys, David Mack, I've been trying to get for like 8 years. I think he finally gave up and said, fine, I'll go. Now leave me alone, So he's there.
I remember last year at Baltimore. I saw you on the main street on like where the convention center is, and you're putting a Terrificon sticker on the.
I was putting stickers up. Yeah, that's how you know when I've been through. That's my
I'm Mitch, like, oh, there's Mitch. Like I was with one of my friends. I was like, oh, there's Mitch Hallock of Terrificon, and you're putting a sticker on the light thing. I was like, there it is.
Yeah. My son, when he was going to University of Maryland, I would go up and down the 95, and every rest stop on the Delaware, Maryland, and Jersey. If you go to those rest stops and you look around on the back of the parking sign, you'll see a Terrificon sticker somewhere. And it was like my little mark that I had been through there. I remember my son was on a job interview phone call, and he had to pull over to the rest stop just to make the call, and he's on the phone and he's looking straight ahead, and there on the garbage can is a Terrificon sticker. He's like, oh, my dad was here, So,
that's awesome.
Well, we started doing that. Well, I should say I started doing that at New York Comic Con. Like as I'm walking to the Javits Center, I'm like placing them everywhere. And I had someone actually take a photo and send this to me. They're like, oh, did you put this up? And I was like, oh my God, you saw that?
Found one. Yeah. I got you beat. I got them in Venice, Italy now, Australia. Because if I'm there or I have a friend, I go, here, take some stickers, put them up. Let people think I'm everywhere. Okay.
I dropped some Comic-Con podcast in Cancun, like all over.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
I've got them in Key West. We should just do a list of psycho things that we have.
I'm gonna have like a rap sheet for littering or
wait till
vandalism or something.
The Venice police are going to be after me. Like, okay, we found him. He emitted it on video or audio. We
put it on the Notre Dame.
That's evidence. Yeah. That's evidence, man.
I flew out of Otto, and I flew out of Hartford, right there. Yeah, that's where it is. And to go to MegaCon this year. And when you walk out to the plane, they have that whatever that's called. I can't think of it. Tarmac, yeah. And around the tarmac, they have all the stickers. And I threw a sticker there, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Like they don't. I mean, being in Jersey, I'm like, they wouldn't allow that in New Jersey, especially in like Newark Airport. But I'm like, like trying to get my sticker out as fast as possible and like peel it off.
Put it on the tarmac. I have them in my pocket all the time. My wife just shakes her head like, we'll go out to dinner, and she goes, what are you doing? Nothing. And I'll have 3 or 4 in my pocket, and I try to peel the edge a little bit so it's ready to bam and just slap it on the side. Boy, she's like, did you just put a sticker up? No.
But look, someone did. Weird. That's awesome.
Weird. Somebody else wants to Terrificon.
Oh, people love the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's everywhere. It's branding. It's always be promoting.
It's true.
So
of course.
No, it's fun. And the t-shirts, God knows I've got enough of these friggin' things, Like my wife goes, can you ever go out of the house without wearing a Terrificon shirt? And then when people recognize me, I get ticked about it. Why the hell's that guy talking to me about this show? I'm just trying to buy a quart of milk. Well, you got a Terrificon t-shirt on, idiot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a curse, man. It's a curse,
So I know I did have a question because in previous years you've had like a lot of the Justice League animated voice
Yeah.
actors. And
Yeah.
and someone asked me to ask you, when are you going to bring in like the Star Wars animated characters?
Well, you know what sucks about that? In 2020, the year that we had to cancel, I had the entire cast of the Justice League, even Martian Manhunter. I can't think of his name. He was also in the Falcon and Winter Soldier. He was actually Mantis on TV. Carl Lumley. I had Carl Lumley coming, and he never does shows. And Paul or Phil Lamar talked him into it. And then we had to cancel the show because COVID killed everything. But I did just meet with D. Bradley Baker on Saturday when I was in Boston, and he's the voice of Captain all the clones.
Yeah, all the clones. Yeah,
He
I know.
does all the clones. The guy talks to himself all the time. That's his job. So I'm in the works in that, and Ahsoka was there, and so there were some other people at that show. So it's on the agenda. It's on the agenda. I'm a big Star Wars guy. I was there May 25th, 77, opening day when you guys weren't even born. I was there. I saw the movie. My mom took me. She fell asleep. She thought it was stupid, and it ruined my life. But yeah, no, I got things in the works. I got people coming. I know people. Know people.
Right.
I was trying to get Haley Atwell for this summer, but she had to go have a baby. She's pregnant.
Oh, that's cool.
Come on, Haley. Get it together.
Schedule it better.
Exactly. Oh, wait, I want to go to Terrificon. Oh, I want to have a kid. Oh.
Okay, so who is... Two questions.
Yeah.
Because you said John Byrne, but who's your most sought after guest, and who are you like the proudest person you ever got? Like maybe not like the most popular, but you just worked so hard, or either one. You define it, but like first one that you still want, and
the
happiest one you've got.
Oh, still on the still want list. I would love to, but he won't do shows. I mean, a nerd like me, Harrison Ford would be great. I've met him twice. Yeah, twice, and he'll never come. But then there's Mark Hamill, who does do shows, but he costs an arm and a leg just for his guarantee. And I don't think people understand that. I have a lot of friends that found out too. When you see these people that come to the show, most of them are there because there's a certain fee that's promised. Like if you're famous movie star, you'll come to this convention, you will make $300,000 in sales and photos and autograph. And that's the promise that gets a lot of these people there. I don't have that kind of money. I'm just me. I'm not owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I'm not owned by, whoever, a Swiss bank account. I'm literally a nerd, just like the rest of you, who just took his money and every year did a show and took that money and put it towards the next year, put it to the next year, and just kept building it and building it and building it. And that's here we are now. I don't have the money for Mark Hamill, but he would be my cool guest because he's Luke Skywalker. He's the Joker. Yeah. But for comic book wise, a lot of greats are gone already that I would have loved to. I would have loved to have John Romita Sr. I met him a couple of times. He was a great guy. But Byrne is on my list. I don't think he'll ever do it. There's a lot of artists because I went to school for art, so there's a lot of people that I just love their art style, like Mike Kaluta. He won't come. I just said he won't come. Barry Windsor Smith, he won't come. I just like seeing art. I just like meeting artists and seeing their technique and their styles and that. Writer wise, who's a writer that I would love to have at the show? Oh, well, I guess Neil Gaiman would be big, and Mark. I mean, Brian, Alan Moore, but he won't come again.
Does Neil do shows?
Who? Alan Moore?
No, Neil Gaiman. Does he do shows?
Gaiman does do shows. Yeah, he does. Yeah. I was trying to get Brian Bolland here because I loved his Killing Joke and Camelot 3000. That's one of my favorite artists. But we'll see if I could ever get him here. He's over in England. Actually, I went to Italy this year just to recruit guests for next year's show that people don't normally see in the United States, like Sarah Pacelli and
you went to Lake Como?
I was at Lake Como. Yeah, so you'll have to wait till next year to see if I was successful, but I did meet with a bunch of people.
How is that show? Because I want to get back there.
Yeah. It's all art. If you're into art, it's not. There's only 400 people there, and there was the greatest artist you can imagine there. There was Bill Sienkiewicz, who I've been trying to get here for years, who Bill was supposed to do my one-day show in Connecticut, and then I called him up the week before, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I moved." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Yeah, but I moved to California." Oh, well, that's on the other side of the country. Thanks, Bill. So he's trying to get back here for the last 11 years. Lake Como was fantastic. It's a beautiful part of the world, and the artists were great. Frank Quietly was there. Simone Bianchi was there. The fella's name I butchered every time. I can't say it properly. He did the Batman. Guillermo
Liebermejo.
Bermejo. That's how you say it. I can never pronounce it. He was there. So many artists that I just sit there and I just go, wow, just look at that. And then Asad Rebic was there, who's been to Terrificon, the really big Croatian fella.
Yeah.
He's funny as all hell. I just crack up. We get together. Simon Bisley's nuts. I've known him for years. He was at that show. It's just a great show. And if you're looking to collect art, go there.
Yeah, I've seen pictures just
it was nuts.
of it itself inside, and then obviously outside. You know, like I want to get back to Italy.
Oh, it's a villa like out of a James Bond movie. Literally, they filmed James Bond up the road in Attack of the Clones. Yeah, it's a palace, man. It's like a freaking medieval palace, and that's where the show's at. You know, so it was great. But
on my
those are probably the proudest guests I ever had. I know the ones people love the most because I always hear about it. People loved Henry Winkler. They thought he was fantastic.
Oh, wow.
The way he interacted with people. Neil Adams, believe it or not, used to be a pain in my ass. Every year we'd get in a fight, but I love the guy because it'd be like he'd take tables. He'd start off with 15 tables, and by Sunday he had 35 tables. I'm like, what are you doing? It was getting bigger every day. It's like you go to bed at night and you come in the next day and it would double in size. I'm like, what's happening here, Neil? And
Neil had levels.
He has levels.
Neil did have levels. I mean, but he was such a knowledgeable guy, such a professional guy. I remember there was an artist who I'm not going to say his name, but is very popular. And he was supposed to come to the show. And the morning of the show, he was supposed to catch his flight on a Friday. And we're setting up. And he calls and he says, hey, it's me. I'm like, yeah, what are you doing? I'm not coming to the show. What are you talking about? What do you mean you're not coming to the show? I got your hotel. I got your flight paid for. Yeah, I'm on deadline. I'm never going to finish it. I'm like, dude, you're one of the headliners. What do you mean you're not going to show? And Neil's listening to me freaking out. And Neil goes, hey, Mitch, give me the phone. I go, what? He goes, let me have that phone. I go, yeah, but I'm not. He goes, no, I heard you. Give me the phone. So Neil picks up the phone. He goes, who's this? Oh, it's Neil Adams. Yeah, that Neil Adams. Yeah, that's me. What do I hear? You're not coming to the show. Mitch bought you a ticket in a hotel room and you can't make it. Yeah, you're on deadline. Yeah. Well, here, okay, you're sitting down. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to bring your pad. You're going to bring your paper. You're going to bring all the stuff you got to work on. When the show's over, you're going to go right to your hotel room and you're going to work on your pages for your thing. You're not going to miss your deadline. You're not going to go drinking. You're not going to hang out with your buddies. You're not going to do anything. You're going to just go back to your room and you're going to work. You're going to do your show and you're going to do your job and you're going to be here. So get on that plane and make sure you're here in the next 3 hours because I want to see you in person. And here's Mitch now. And he gives me the phone back. And I'm just like, and the guy goes, was that really Neil Adams? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, shit. I go, yeah. He goes, all right, I'll see you in a couple hours. And he just practiced it up and got on the plane and came there. And I was like, how did you do that? He goes, they might say no to you, but they ain't going to say no to Neil Adams. And I'm like, oh, shit. So, anyway,
the old hat, man.
That was something, you know. Yeah. But
the power of Neil. Damn.
Yeah. They were scared of him. They were scared of him.
Who was so in on vein of that theme? Who swings the biggest? Who swings the biggest out of all the comic book dudes? Who has the most pull? Who's top?
Well, Neil had it. After him, I'd say Chris Claremont inspires a ton of people. I mean, you see it every year. He's coming again this year. He was this year last year.
He's really like a nice guy, though.
He's a nice guy. Yeah.
Like who's the top? Who's the alpha? Who's alphaing all the comic book guys?
Steranko.
Really?
Oh yeah. Steranko's definitely.
Yeah, for
he's up there in age, man. That's funny. That's awesome.
He's only done 29 books or 30 books, but I think he could literally beat the hell out of anybody in that room because he's got like this iron grip. You know what I mean? Like he'll
get that old man strength.
I'm a big dude, and he'll pull me over the table. He's like, "Hey, Mitch, put it in here, amigo," and I give him my hand, and he's like, pulling. I'm like, "You dick," and he's like, "Nah, how you doing, buddy?" And we did a dinner with Steranko one night, and it was supposed to go from 8 to 10 or 8 to 11. That damn thing started at 9 because he was there late. It ended at 2:30 in the freaking morning, and we were dying because I mean I'd been up since 4 or 5 that day, and he goes, "Where are we going now, buddies?" And I'm like, "Dude, we're going to bed. It's 2:30 in the friggin' morning. I got to be up in 3 hours to start the show on Saturday." "Well, I'm going out. Who's going with me, buddy?" And he's going down the escalator like he's in a Frank Sinatra movie with the turtleneck on and the suit and the double-breasted suit and the big shoes and everything. And he's walking around the casino tables with the dice and everything. I go, he's literally thinks he's in a Rat Pack movie. He thinks it's 1962 and he's going to go punch out Dean Martin or something. I don't know what's going on, but there he was, 10 o'clock when the show opened, right there at his booth. I'm like, what is this guy drinking? Like tiger blood? I don't know what's going on over there, you know? But he was, "Come on, amigo. Let's go. Let's go." I'm like, all right, you're nuts. You're crazy.
God.
Who else can John Romita Jr. gets everybody, you know, there's a certain level. Palmiotti's like that too. Jimmy comes in the room. There's like, "Come on, Jimmy's here. Let's go." You know, they got this whole 80s, 90s guys that kind of inspire people to like get to work. Trying to think who else was like an alpha male that kind of like gets everybody roaring to go. Tucci's kind of wacky like that too. Billy's like that. "Come on, everybody, let's go. Let's go, charge." Chaikin, Howard's my guy. Howard can inspire
Howard's old
people.
school.
And Howard will tell you what you want to hear, whether you want to hear it or not. You know, he'll tell you what he thinks of you. So
That's awesome.
you know, he's great. I love when we do panels with Howard because I don't even bother moderating. I just give him a microphone and go, "Here you go. You got 45 minutes. Go to town." And I just leave, and he just lets loose, and that's it. You know. So, I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of different guys that do different stuff. You know, different things for people, artists, writers. You know?
I mean, as like a fan of comics, I would think, you know, like I don't doubt how stressful your job is, but that's got to be like, if I'm thinking on myself, like that would be the biggest payoff of what you do, right? Is like these are your idols, the writers, the artists in the comics, and you have like a relationship with these people. I mean, these are your friends.
I do, but I'm still nerdy enough to all call them Mister.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
And I don't, and they look at me like I'm like, what? And I'll say, "Hey, Mr. Simonson, how you see? Hello, Mrs. Simonson. It's Walt and Louise, Mitch." I go, "I know who you are," but I'm always like, you know, Mike Zack used to go to the same comic shop as I did in high school in the 80s, and I'd see him at the shop. And to me, he was always, "Oh, hey, Mike. Hey, Mike." So when he would come to my show, I would just, "Oh, hey, Mike." And he knew my mom. "Oh, hello, Mrs. Hallock." You know, it was one of these things because she would drop me off to get my books, and he would see me when I was like 14 or 15 years old. So we grew up with Mike Zack. And then I've hung out with Ordway for like, I don't know how many years now, 15 years or more. So I know a lot of people through Jerry because he's friends with Dan Jurgens and Brett Breeding. And, you know, he's worked with all these legendary people for years. And I'll drive Jerry to Baltimore. We'll go to we do our podcast every 2 weeks. We go to a pizza restaurant. We go to movies. We just, you know, see a movie and rip it apart, or I rip it apart. And Jerry says how everything is great. And, you know, we get a lot of fans to listen to our podcast, and the two of us, because Jerry's a fountain of DC history because he worked there for like 40 years, and, you know, from the 80s. So he knows all the backstories and how this happened and why Batman broke his back and why they killed Superman and why he got married. And Jerry just knows all the behind the scenes secrets and stuff. So, you know, it's always fun to learn stuff from him.
Yeah, so I was listening to the podcast. I've been listening to it for a while, but so for people that don't know, the Power Cosmic podcast, you can hear Mitch and Jerry Ordway, of course, the legend Jerry Ordway, and I know he was recently saying he got to go down to the Superman filming.
Yes.
So he got to meet James Gunn and, you know, kind of some stuff over there. So how did you, you know, so like you said, you've known Jerry for 15 years, you know, you just sort of like, "Hey, let's start this. Like, let's just start this podcast and we're just going to talk."
No. I actually knew Jerry in the 90s because I worked in Norwalk, Connecticut at a big computer catalog company. It was called Micro Warehouse. I was the art director there, and Jerry and I would go to the same comic store. So I would see him every Wednesday when the books would come in. I'd go on my lunch hour and he'd drive up, and he was doing the Power of Shazam. And then I would just talk to him, and he was always, Jerry Ordway's the nicest guy on earth. He'll talk to anybody, and I'm a jerk. So it's a weird odd couple. So he would talk to me, and I remember I had my kids, and his kids are almost about the same age, our boys, and he's got a daughter. And I would come into the shop and with my kids, and he'd have his kids, and we would just start bullshitting about, what it's like to have kids. And then we found out we lived near each other back here in Connecticut. We were like only a couple miles apart. So then I'd bump into him even more. And then I would see him at New York Comic Con, and I'd see him at the shops. And then I used to do a podcast. Power Cosmic started years ago with a fellow who went on to work with Roy Thomas, and Jerry would just go to the movies with me. We'd, go hang out. And I go, well, I got nobody on the podcast anymore. And Jerry's like, oh, I'll do it. And I'm like, all right. So if you listen to the early episodes, it's just Jerry and me going to a movie and just reviewing the movie. And then I would just go to Jerry's pizza restaurant a local one, and he would just start telling me the history of the Crisis and the power of Superman and Shazam and all that. So it would just turn into my dinner with Jerry. And he would just go on for hours about how books got made and what happened to this artist and that artist. And then we just started I don't know, what are we on, like 5 years or 6 years now? I don't know how long it's been going. But it just became like everybody was involved. The waitress would be part of the show. People walking by would just start chiming in. Other artists and writers would come on the show. It was just like Paul Kupperberg comes in now and then.
Yeah, Franco's been on with you.
Franco's
like
been
everybody.
on.
Like it's just so unfiltered and
unscheduled.
It's great. I love it.
It's literally we sit there at a pizza restaurant, have a couple beers, eat pizza, and just turn on my iPhone, and you just hear all the background noise with kids screaming and dishes clanging and forks dropping, and we're just yelling at each other. Well, what do you think about that movie? Oh, I think it was really good. Jerry, you're nuts. That movie sucks. 6 Ways to Sunday. No, it didn't. It was really good. I like the guy who did it. And people listen to it. Trust me, I see the numbers. I go, oh my God, people like this stuff. So we just keep doing it. But yeah, Jerry. Yeah. And then when we don't do it, I get calls and emails. People are like, hey, is Jerry okay? I said, yeah, Jerry's fine. Why? We guys haven't recorded in like 2 weeks. I go, well, he's working on a book and I'm doing a convention. Oh, and then I'll call him up. Hey, do you want to go to have a pizza? People are worried about you. All right. So we'll go out and have pizza for a couple hours, But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird life, but somebody's got to do it, But I don't know. I don't know who's the most alpha male in all these people.
just curious to figure
Mike
out who
Grell,
has the
maybe
BDE out of all of them.
What's that?
The most BDE, the big dick energy.
Oh, geez, I don't know.
What the kids are saying these days.
Is that what they say?
Yeah,
BDE. Really?
You gotta have that BDE.
I'm gonna have to tell that to my kids.
Yeah, you gotta use it on your kids and make them. You'll be like, wow, Dad, you're really hip.
That's hip. 26 years old and 24 years old, my kids, and I'll say, hey, I got the BED. They're like, what?
No, the BDE.
The BD?
Not the bed, not the BED. You got bed? Yeah, we know you got
tell
bed.
My wife that. So like, yeah, I don't think so. No, I'll tell Ordway that, and he'll be golly. Jerry, hanging out with Jerry's like hanging out with Clark Kent. Like literally the Christopher Reeve version of Clark Kent. Like Jerry will actually say golly and swell. And you look at him and go, holy Jesus, do they base Clark Kent on you? Because he's from the Midwest. Jerry's from like, what do you call that? What the M? Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Mm. And he just like has that middle America wholesomeness, like never says a bad word about anybody, never gets mad. He's just like shows up with a plaid shirt. Literally looks like he can work on the Kent farm. And then you got me, who grew up like in New Haven in the New York area, and it's like the Midnight Cowboy of comic books, I'm like I'm freaking Ratso Rizzo, and I'm like, hey, I'm walking here. What are you doing? Get the hell out of here! And Jerry's like, golly gee, you should be more nicer to that waitress. She looked like fine folk. I'm like, shut the hell up, will you, Ordway? You're scaring me.
Well, it's like Zack and I. So Zack's from Kansas City, and then
moved, Jesus,
and then and then he lives in Texas, and now he's on the East Coast. I'm in New Jersey my entire life. So when Zack came out here, he's like super nice to everybody. And
excuse me, just opening
like,
doors.
No,
pardon
you never make eye contact with anybody because they'll ask you for money or kill you. You just got to learn what to do. Yeah,
these East Coasters on that's like the Texas, like. I'm just like, excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Let me open this door for you. People look at me while I'm opening the door like, what are you up to? Like,
no. You don't do that stuff around here. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, right. I'll tell you what weirds me out, though. Jersey, I'll never get used to this. Is I don't like people. Don't pump my gas, man. I don't need you pumping my gas.
Well, that's a freaky thing, too. I'll come out because Connecticut, you pump your own gas. And I was coming through Jersey and I get out and they're looking at me. Oh, no, sir.
Are you supposed to tip them? I don't like.
No.
Are you? Because I don't. I go.
I would
didn't
never
tell you
do
to-
that.
Oh
No,
no,
I
no. You
If
don't.
I can do it, I'm not tipping you.
No,
Yeah,
that's your
I go.
job.
I didn't tell you to pump my gas. You chose this life.
Yeah, you chose this life. Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
could have been
I
a doctor or a lawyer. You know, I didn't tell you to do this. You did
What's
it.
the deal with that? Is that a law? What's going on?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
it's
law.
just-
Now,
it's just-
I heard the urban legend that somebody blew up a gas station once because they threw a lit cigarette, and because of that, they have guys that pump your gas. I go, well, what would that stop somebody from still throwing a cigarette and blowing up a pump?
Yeah. Yeah, why he
So
pumps
what's
the
the
gas and I throw a
story?
cigarette at him, you know?
So, what's the story, Justin? You're the Jersey guy.
I have no idea. I think it's just. I don't know. That's a good question.
Just
I think
to
people need
avoid
jobs
yourself?
because New
For
Jersey's
next
so densely populated.
Yeah.
So people need jobs. So they were just like, hey, why don't we hire someone to
Yeah.
pump gas?
Yeah, forget construction and cleaning up Elizabeth, New Jersey, so it doesn't smell like death when you drive through the highway and there's flames, literally fire burning constantly because they have like methane gas. It's like Blade Runner or some
How
nonsense.
about they
Yeah.
use some of that money from the tolls to patch up the
Yeah.
potholes in the
Oh my
freeway?
God. I used to have to do a convention in
Criminals.
Atlantic City. You get up to speed, you got to slow down. It was like a nickel back in the day, early 2000s. It was like a nickel for every toll. And it was the Tom's River, whatever the hell it's called. The entire Atlantic City, Jersey Pike, whatever the hell the name of the road is. It's like, get up to speed, toll. Get up to speed, toll. I'm like, how many freaking tolls do you people have? Then I got the easy pass, so I would blast through them. But Jesus Lord, what a scam they got going there.
Yeah, they used to have a lot, and then they got rid of some.
Yeah.
It just got more expensive. It was like they took out 2, which would be like, like 25, 50 cents, and now it's like $1, and now it upped it, because they took him out. So I know all about.
Brand new people. Joe Caramani lives over in Jersey. Joe Caramani is a letterer for Marvel. He created the whole lettering system or something like that. He always breaks my stones because he's like, oh, Connecticut, you and your pizza. I'm like, what about it? He goes, it sucks. I'm like, you suck. And then we just have this constant fight. He loves donuts. Joe Caramani, if he could eat a donut every single day of the rest of his life, he'd be happy. And he's skinny as a stick, that son of a bitch. It's like, how? The man eats a dozen Dunkin' Donuts and he doesn't gain a pound, the little bastard.
The pizza is better on the East Coast. It's one of the things I'm loving the most out here. I'm just like, let me
go to
I'm gonna get
Pepe's.
a slice. Yeah.
Go to Pepe's Pizza at the Mohegan Sun. That's from New Haven, where I'm from. So
I think we ate there, didn't we, Justin?
Yeah, we went there. That's a big pizza place. There's again, like anything that you're inside of Mohegan's amazing. Like towel,
white clam pizza. Yeah, that's
white
the one.
clam pizza.
White clam pizza with bacon. That's what I just had actually for Father's Day the other day. They call it the Paul Giamatti because he's from New Haven. They named it after him.
Interesting.
Ask for the Paul Giamatti.
Have to check that out.
See that?
So, I have one other question, Mitch. So, not only do you do Terrificon, but you also do the CTGamercon, right?
I do. Yeah.
Tell me about that because I'm we're both huge
Well,
fans as well.
You know what? That started when we did the old Terrificon on the other side of the Mohegan Sun at the convention center. I had a lot of empty rooms upstairs that I was using for panel rooms, but there was like 5 more, and I'm cheap. I'm like, wait, I'm paying for all those empty rooms. We're gonna use something. So I called the guy that ran a Magic the Gathering card shop, and I said, hey, look, you can have the room, do your little Magic the Gathering thing, whatever. Bring some people in for that. So he did. And then I called the guy that ran an arcade. I said, listen, can you bring me in some arcade machines and we'll do some of that stuff. We'll do some, Nintendo, whatever. All right, whatever. So that was the second year we were there. And I go upstairs and the line is out the door and it's all kids. It's all like my sons. I couldn't find my 2 boys. They were teenagers at the time. They were upstairs. They were upstairs playing the video games, the Smash Brothers and all that stuff. I go, what are you guys doing? You've been up here for 3 hours now. They go, yeah, we don't read comics, Dad. Comics suck. I go, what'd you say? and they were all into video games. And I'm like, well, it's just like home. And then I go down the hall and then we're playing Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons and Pokemon. And I'm like, what the hell are you guys doing? Yeah, we don't read comics, Mr. Hallock. We like this stuff. I'm like, whatever. So then I go, is there a convention that kind of does all this stuff? And they're like, not really in Connecticut. So the next year I said, look, how much does it cost to rent the room? We'll do it in March. We'll see what happens. So I did the first GamerCon and we did half the room with tournaments, video game tournaments and all that stuff, retro gaming. And the other half I sold to vendors like convention, like, toys and old video games and stuff. Freaking opened the show up. 8,000 people showed up. I go, what is this?
That's awesome.
And then you start asking around, what do you guys want to see? Oh, can you get voice actors from what? From the video games. That's a thing? Oh, yeah. I'm like, all right. So we start doing that. And then it was like, well, can you get some anime? What the hell's anime? Oh, it's huge. What is it? I don't know. What do you read? Comics? Yeah. Well, anime's the next big thing. So then I started doing anime. Next thing I know, I've got all these people from anime shows coming in or manga and all that. It's a whole other world. It's not the comic book fan. It's not the Terrificon people. It's another subsection of fandom out there that doesn't care about the comics. They just care about the games and the anime. So I literally have two different brains now. The March show is usually in March, GamerCon, right after winter, because everybody can't wait to get the hell out of the house after being stuck inside for months. So they come out like groundhogs. I'm like, oh my God, it's a convention. And they'll dress up and we'll have cosplay contests and all that stuff. And they literally just will not go home. They don't get up at 9 in the morning like Terrificon. They come in at 2 in the afternoon, which first year I opened at 9 or 10 in the morning. No one was there. I said, oh, this show's a disaster. And then by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you couldn't see. And I said, what happened? My son goes, what do you think? These people get up at 9 in the morning? They're going to bed at 8 o'clock. They've been video gaming all night long. I go, oh. So sure enough, I couldn't get people out of there at 11 midnight. I was like, hey, guys, the show ended at 9. Oh, we're still playing. Yeah. I'm like, I get it, but I got to close the doors. It's midnight. Can we stay open until 2? Well, because you're at Mohegan Sun and it never closes, they're like, if you want, go ahead. So literally, GamerCon goes all night long. As opposed to Terrificon. That's just crazy.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me if Terrificon could run 24 hours. I go, it probably could, but I got to go to bed.
Who would want to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, who's selling comics at 3 a.m.? Well, you know what it is? For vendors, bad mistakes after midnight, right? So guy comes in there,
that'd be pretty good too. Yeah.
Like, I bought 30 copies of Dark Hawk 1. What was I thinking? They're all 9.8s though. But it sucks. Yeah,
Yeah, I want to come up to GamerCon. You have some good voice actors like David Hayter.
David Hayter. I actually ran his panel. The only reason why I ran his panel is because he wrote the Watchmen movie and X-Men 1 and X-Men 2. So the whole panel, people are like, tell us about being in Metal Gear Solid. I'm like, shut up. I'm asking them questions about X-Men. Like, that's comic book shit. Shut up. I'm in charge here, not you. So Hayter's like, this is weird. I've never been asked about all my my superhero movies. I go, well, you are now. So answer the question, buddy. Why did you get rid of the squid at the end of the damn Watchmen? Why? You ruined the book.
That's awesome.
But I found out why they got rid of it. So now I know. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, gamers. That's the thing is like with New York, it's like New York has become an everything show, and that's what I like about like your show and Baltimore, and even like
I've had people in New York tell me that they don't get the guests I get. I've had organizers at that show come up to me and say they come to my show, and I go, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, because you have Dave McElhinney here. Oh, you have Mike Barr here. Oh, you have this guy I grew up reading." I go, "Why don't you get?" Well, we don't get those guys. Why not? Well, we kind of tend to get the newer big, flavor of the month kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you get these guys? They're legends. Yeah, we don't spend money on that. And then when I found out that the people at New York Comic Con, most of them have to pie their own tables. I'm like, wait a minute, aren't they? Yeah, no. I'm like, you charge? Oh, they have to pay for their own flight, their own hotel, and they have to buy their table. I'm like, what are you, on drugs? If it wasn't for that guy over there wouldn't be a $2 billion Marvel movie. If it wasn't for that guy over there wouldn't be a freaking X-Men TV cartoon series. What are you talking about? You're charging these people? And they're like, yeah. I go, you got a lot of nerves, man. I'll tell you. So they come to my show. I treat them like the superstars they are. I'm like,
yeah, that's awesome.
You know who this guy is? This guy here, he's the one that got me through college and high school reading his stuff so I didn't go nuts, I mean, Jesus God. I you're right. Baltimore and Heroes was just this weekend and my show. And I don't care. That's it. It's just us three. You show me another show that cares as much about these comic book guys as I do. San Diego don't give a crap.
No, they don't. It's all
movies and TV shit.
It's all like, what you said, hype and what's hot. And pop culture. It's not even it's like by calling it San Diego Comic Con, it should be San Diego Pop Culture Con.
Whatever. If you're into that, I'm not saying it's bad. Right, I'm just saying it's not a comic book show.
No.
Don't call it a comic book show because it's not. There's no comics there.
Yep.
I went to a show this weekend, a big show that was right up the road here, big nationwide convention. There was one comic book dealer. I was like, this used to be a show that I used to emulate because I knew the old owner, and he used to have comic book dealers everywhere. And there was one. And other than that, there was like a zillion Funko Pop dealers, a zero prints and statues and all that other stuff, which is fine. But I was there to see comic book creators. I was there to see comic book artists. I was there to see old back issues, None of that was there. None of it. And I was like,
we were at Boston, right? Fan Expo.
Yeah, it was that show.
Yeah, it's the fan expos have really just taken a turn for the worse. I remember when they used to do the New York one here before, kind of like New York Comic Con kind of kicked them out. And I've been to Philly, I've been to DC.
Yeah, I've been to Philly. Yeah,
even like the old the Wizard Worlds.
Wizard World. Yeah, I used to go to when it was called Wizard World.
Yeah, they those were comic shows. You had comic book creators and you had comic books. And again, we all, myself included in our listeners, it's fine. You collect whatever you want. Yeah, like comic book shows, and that's what it is. We pound it into people's ears. Is your show is amazing to go to if you want back issues, you want Golden Age, Silver Age, whatever it is, creators, signatures. It's just
community.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I've been told over there, and you can hear. I think I tell Ordway this on one of our shows. I got really riled up. Yeah, you can tell. Somebody told me the other day, Mitch, you're as subtle as a cherry bomb in church. I go, what? What is that supposed to mean, you son of a bitch? Let's go.
Yeah.
So
at the pizza restaurant,
that just set you off right away. Right?
Oh yeah, I get it. I'm like the mad dog over here. But the problem is, I had somebody come up to me and they said, speaking of anime and manga, that's the future. What do you mean? Well, you go to a Barnes and Noble and they've got 2 aisles full of anime or manga books and stuff, and they've got a little section now for graphic novels. You're a dinosaur. You just don't know it yet. What does that mean? Your fan base is dying out. It's all a bunch of old guys reading comics, and they're not buying the new stuff anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? They just came off 20 years of billion-dollar movie franchises and Disney shows and toys and all. Well, yeah, all that's going away. No one's going to be. The future is anime. You should really invest more in those type of guests. You shouldn't get any of these Rob Liefelds and Jim Lees. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about these people. I said, well, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. You go to your shows. You go to your big pop culture shows. I'll just stay here. I'll be like the guy that sells vinyl records. I'll be the comic book store down the street. I'll be the hobbyist store, the Lego store or whatever, because there's something for everybody. And if so be it, if I'm going to be the guy that you can just go find back issues with and get original sketches, hey, that's my lot in life. I accept it. I enjoy it. Like I told you earlier today, my hands fly around. I become very animated, very passionate because I grew up with this stuff. I love this stuff. I always wanted to work with this stuff. This is what I do for a living. And I'm happy every single day I get up. I might bitch about some of the people I got to deal with, but at the end of the day, it's the greatest job I'll ever have. And if it goes the way of the dinosaur, what are you going to do? That's the way it is. I can't control that, but I don't think it is. I don't think we're going away anytime soon. Print's dead. Everyone's going to go to digital. They're just going to read their things on their iPad. That didn't work. That didn't happen. I didn't see anybody do that. Oh, the prices of the books are too high. No one's buying any more books. No, that's not happening. Didn't they just sell like 100-something thousand Thundercats 1 or whatever the hell it was?
Yeah.
Just came. Yeah. Somebody bought
the Energon universe is selling like wild. Like,
right?
All those G.I. Joe books are in like 8 prints.
Thank you.
What did Justin? We just did an article not too long ago about Something Is Killing the Children reached like $9 million sold or something, or 934
million. Ninja Turtles, for Christ's sakes! I met those guys in the '80s in New Haven when they were selling the friggin' books out of the back of their trunk. Man, Laird and Eastman were in New Haven with issues 1, 2, and 3, trying to sell those books, and I bought issue 3 and did not buy issue 1 and 2 for $1. I was like, this book sucks. It's black and white, turtles and mutants. What the hell are you on, drugs? Well, they might have been. But anyway.
That's how I felt on Walking Dead there, Mitch. I was like, Walking Dead 1, I'm like, black and white. And
white. What do you suck? I'm not going to buy this. This is crazy. But the turtles are still selling big. The Last Ronin, I come to the comic shop. There's guys parked up front at 11 o'clock waiting to get in there to get that issue off the shelf. There's still a vibrant fan base for this shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't give me this going away.
We hear people, I feel like we hear people crying about it all the time. We go, oh, new comic book day, it sucks. Or like, Wednesday. It's like, bro, this is the only thing keeping this hobby alive. And you're crazy.
Dude, it's the only thing keeping me awake. That's how I mark my week. I go, oh my God, it's Wednesday tomorrow. And suddenly I get up early.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I hang out there. My wife goes, oh, how was the Mensa meeting today? Because I'll go in at 11 and I come out at 1. And we talk about everything from the comics to the movies to politics. It's like a barbershop.
Yeah.
And we just and there's a whole bunch of lots in life. There's me, there's older guys that come in, there's younger kids that come in, people on their lunch break. And we literally just sit there and talk about comics. And those are the people that actually help me find the guests for Terrificon, because I'll sit there and go, oh, what's selling? Oh, is that a good book? Oh, is that guy good? Who's writing that? Jason Aaron's writing that? Oh, yeah. Ben Pierce, he's writing that one? Oh, okay. And literally, I write down on my phone notes. What book's selling? What books do people want to see? Who am I hearing don't get? Get this guy, get that guy, get this guy. Philip Kennedy Johnson, I found out about because he was writing some books at the shop. People are like, he's a good guy. I go down to Baltimore. There he is. And I go up to him. I'm like, hey, man, I'm reading your stuff. People are recommending you. He's coming to the show this year. That's how it happens. It's awesome. Literally word of mouth, and people like, oh, you should really try this book out. I'm just reading the brand new Jeff Johns books, the Red Coat
stuff.
Yeah, the real Geiger. Red Coat.
Yeah, Geiger. I'm picking all that up.
They're so good.
Yeah, because people are loving them. You know, it's like, don't tell me there's no more good stories out there. There's no more good books. Oh, all the good stuff's happened here. There's no new characters anymore. It's just all rehash. Marvel and DC are dead. They're not dead. Comic book fans love to complain and gripe about stuff. I get it. That's what we do. That's what we get paid for.
The big two are like turtles. You just got to give them. Sometimes their heads go back in the shell and then they pop back out. But
they're still there, though. They didn't go away.
I'll read X-Men until I die. I don't care who's writing. I'm always following.
Uncle Scrooge came out today from Marvel. I don't know. I never read Uncle Scrooge in my life. Though I had Don Rose at the show last year. I shouldn't say that. But people were buying it. Why? It's something new. I heard the guy say, well, I don't know what it's about, but it's new and it's got a Scotty Young variant, so I'm buying that book, So craziness.
Mitch,
now I'm all fired up, guys.
Oh, yeah.
All nuts. It's 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do?
Blood pressure up.
Blood pressure's up. I got to go take my pills and lie and calm down, lay down for a while, meditate.
Well, then before we leave there, Mitch, why don't you tell us a crazy story of somebody you want to call?
You want a crazy story?
Now that we got you all riled up, spill some hate. Let
crazy story, like counting the green jelly beans out of the things or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I could medically. That might be a HIPAA violation. I don't think I could tell you that story. There are no. Well, no. I think that might have a legal thing. There was one incident where there was a certain actor from a certain thing that was drinking and got involved in a bar fight, and I had to go down the road, and it was awkward. That's about as far as I'll go with that. But that was years ago. That was like 10, 12 years ago. So just have to go back and look at my history and figure out which show had somebody that might have been in a bar fight.
Yeah, I gotta Google Terrificon.
Uncasville bar fights.
No, it was not in Uncasville. There were some feuds that were going on.
Oh, that was a question I wanted to ask. How is it?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Operating with drama. Do you ever have to do navigate?
Yeah. There's a person that I just mentioned earlier that passed away, is no longer with us, and I had planned a panel for months, and it was on the website. I didn't know he didn't like this guy, so we're going by the panel, and I had the writer and the artist was at his table, and we're going upstairs to the room, and I said, "Oh, excuse me, Neil, the time for the panels now." "I'm not going." "What are you talking about?" "He knows what he did to me in 1969. I go, "What are you 1960? That was 50-some years ago. What happened?" "And he was an asshole to me, and because of that, I would never do a panel with him, and he damn well knows that." And I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me that before?" "I didn't ever intend to go to this panel, blah, 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 blah." So I go to the panel, and the writer's sitting right next to me and goes, "Neil's still mad, huh?" And I go, "You knew?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, he's been mad at me since 1969. I go, "What the frig didn't you tell me this? I'm over there too." So now we got this big panel on this epic storyline, and there's one of the key guys isn't there. And then one of the inkers comes in and goes, "Neil's still mad, huh? He's not here." So that happened. That was a little bit awkward. Yeah. Oh, and then there's two other guys. Well, I can tell you about this story because they're both dead now, I guess. There's an artist and a writer who did a famous storyline about two characters, DC, based on a certain color. One shot arrows, one has a power ring. You know who I'm talking about?
I'm going to say Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams.
There you go. Didn't know they didn't like each other. Okay. Thought they worked together. So I go up to him. I said, hey, would you guys do a panel? Denny looks at me and goes, if I see that guy, I'm going to punch him right in the nose. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? He's like, he knows what he did. He changed the last page of the story. That's not how you cure drug addiction. You don't punch somebody in the face. You can't cure a drug addiction with a punch in the face. Speedy never would have recovered from that. What? It's the Speedy drug issue. Oh, okay. So I go over to Neil. I go, hey, man, I didn't know you guys were mad about this Speedy drug issue thing. Oh, yeah. He's still mad about I changed the pay. I made it a better story because of what I did. His story didn't have a good ending to it. I needed some punch, so I literally put some punch in it. And he starts going on about, yeah, but isn't you? I will not sit down with that guy. So I had the book there for them to sign. So Denny signed it on the inside. Because years ago we used to sign books on the inside.
Yeah, I have a few old ones.
That's a whole other world that started. So I give it to Neil, and I go, Neil, will you please sign my copy? And he goes, yeah. So he opens it up, and he sees Denny on the inside, and he just closes it. And he goes, I will not sign on the same page as that man. So he signs on the cover. I go, you dick, sign the damn book. And no, I'm not that. And we start fighting about it. I go, come on, Neil, sign the damn book. I signed it on the cover. I won't put my name next to his name. And I'm like, next time, note to self, have Neil sign it on the inside first, then get Denny to sign it, you know?
But you got them to sign both sign on that one panel that they were upset about.
Yeah, that would have been better. Yeah. But that was a story. I had no idea that there was a little what do you want to call rivalry or
that's old beef, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, little stuff like that. And because it had gone on so long, we're talking like a book that came out in the early 70s.
Yeah.
And here it is like 2015 or 2018, and we're talking 40 or 50 years. And they're still as nutty about it as they were when it happened, you know? So, but I have ended some feuds. I have had people, Howard Chaykin hates Star Wars 1 with a passion, does not like it. He'll tell you many people made millions of dollars on Star Wars. Some people made thousands. He goes, I made maybe hundreds because he did the first adaptation of the Star Wars movie. Roy Thomas wrote it and Howard drew it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Howard only did the first 4 or 5 issues, then Rick Hoberg finished the rest of it. So he hated it. He never liked the story. He thought his artwork was poor, but that became one of the biggest selling books of all time. It's Star Wars, you know? So people would come up to him at shows and have, I'm not signing that book. I'm not signing that book. He finally gave in over the years and realized it was such a monumentous milestone in pop culture history. So he'll sign the book. But I have been with him when people come up and say, well, you really made the Force be with you. He goes, go F yourself. So they walk away. So I've known Howard for about 30 something years now. And we started off on a Rocky thing, but we got to be buddies. So I called him on the favor. I said, hey, remember this? Yeah. Well, you got to do me a solid. What? We're doing a panel about the 50th anniversary or the 40th anniversary of Star Wars with Roy Thomas and you and this guy named Charles Lippincott. I'm not doing a Star Wars panel. Oh, interesting. Remember that time you yelled? Okay, fine. You guilted me into it. I'll do it. I won't do it at San Diego. I won't do it at New York, but I'll do it at your show. And this will be the final time I ever do it. So there it is. Roy Thomas is wearing this yellow shirt that they gave him that's on the very first Star Wars San Diego Comic-Con panel in 1976 or whatever. And Charles Lippincott, who was the marketing director for Lucasfilm, he had a replica of his shirt. So they give Howard a yellow T-shirt with this Luke Skywalker thing on it. They go, will you put this on too? He goes, get the hell away from me now. So if you ever see the panel, it's like Roy, Charlie Lippincott, and there's Howard at the other end, just this brooding there looking like, you know, get me out of here. What time is it?
Hilarious.
But it's the only time he ever did a panel about Star Wars. So that happened at Terrificon in 2017, I'm going to say. So that's kind of, 2017.
Yeah. I mean, Howard's old school, and that's
he is.
What he's known for is the Star Wars thing. And I just can't believe he, hated it for so long.
No. When you go to do the graphic, when you're at a convention and you go to put like the books he's worked on, American Flag and all that, if you put the Star Wars book up behind his head, he will come at you. Cut that off there now. So I always kind of subtly put it. If you ever look at the graphic I do for him for my show, I'll put American Flag, The Shadow, a bunch of other books he's done, Satellite Sam, and I always kind of tuck Star Wars in the corner just to tick him off. And when you go to Terrificon, there's a hallway that I have, and I make blow-ups of all these iconic
covers. As you're walking up,
yeah, there's like 50 of them, and every year I add new ones. This year I did add a Star Wars 1 up there, drawn by Howard Chaykin, and I can't wait to see his face when he comes walking by. I'm like, "Hey, Howard, will you sign the book?" "Yeah, which one?" "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" I'm like, "Here's a Sharpie. Sign the book, you son of a bitch." "I'll kill you, Hallock." Shut up.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's
too good.
It's fun to torture your heroes.
Well, listen, you can have that, and that's awesome. I mean, having them promoter and being, the nerd that you are.
I'm having fun with these guys. I really am. My wife goes, "We are doing this to make money, right? We are making an income." I go, "No, I'm just doing it to meet guys that I grew up reading in their artwork and collect some Captain America sketches." She goes, "I'll kill you." Ooh, secret revealed. It's all one big fanboy fantasy. That's all this.
Well, hey, that's not a bad way to live.
For so long, yeah.
For so long until your wife finds out, right?
Exactly, when she gets the bill. "How much money did this cost us? What's this Scotty Young thing for $30,000? Oh, isn't it great? Look at it. It's fantastic."
Oh, well, I cannot wait to see everybody at Terrificon in August. It's going to be an absolute great show. Just so to close out, again, August 16th through the 18th. People, if you have not come to any Terrificon, this seriously is an amazing show. If you listen to Mitch literally talk all night,
you could.
So much fun.
I'm all hopped up on the caffeine,
Mitch, we really appreciate you coming on here.
This is fun. This is a lot of
fun. And we're going to be set up there. We'll be in Artist Alley. We have an artist we're bringing. I'm super excited to just kind of hang out for actually 5 days, because I'm going to be there for Thursday through Monday.
Thursday setup, yeah.
You'll
see me there. You'll see me there. Don't talk to me, because I'll start yelling at you like, "What the hell do you want? Get out of here!"
I'll just take a sticker and put it on your back.
I will lose my voice by Sunday morning. I'll be a whisper, because every year I lose my voice, and no matter what I do, because I go to the country bar on Saturday night where they have the mechanical bull.
Yep.
So it was like me, John Cazaday, Asad Rabich, Franco, Mike Pellerito from Archie Comics. We literally just sit there and watch various people jump on that riding bull, and they get thrown 20 or 30 feet sometimes.
Not
I've
everyone.
seen you watch people. I've seen you.
Oh, that's right. Let the Texas boy get on there. And
2 years ago, I think I outrode everyone.
Oh, well, you're a ringer, because John Cassaday's from Texas. I go, "John, get on that thing." He goes, "Hey, man, I'm from Texas, but I ain't stupid. I'm not getting on that thing." I was like,
"I'm too old." I walked away, and the inside of my thighs were just like mangled. I could barely walk. No, I'm not doing that shit again.
Sounds like a fun Saturday night for you. But I'll tell you, stormtroopers are on there. I have videos of the 501st. Yeah, I'm like, and I remember John Cassidy goes, "There's your poster right there." I go, "What?" He goes, "You just show a stormtrooper riding a mechanical bull and just put Terrificon. What happens here? We don't talk, or it stays a Terrificon."
Yep,
that's a good one.
I've seen, and they've gone up on the stages. I've seen it all.
Oh God, they're all over the place. Those guys.
That was like 2021. I think it was.
Yeah, they show up every year. Yeah,
because people. Yeah, I'm the same thing. I jump on the bull and I have videos, and I usually sometimes use that as like my whatnot preview video. Sometimes
I rode the bull, but they didn't throw me off it, because I looked at them. I go, "You guys kill me, there'll be no more Terrificons," and they made it go super slow. It was like, "Come on, guys, turn." It's okay, Mitch. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah,
too good. Zach, before we get out of here, any closing words?
No, Mitch, thank you so much for coming on. We know you're busy, especially leading up to it. And Justin and I couldn't be more excited. We're really looking forward to it. I know you're going to be busy. If you get a chance, definitely buy you a beer if you have some time.
Well, I'll be around. I'll be around.
This is a lot of
coffee
fun.
or something.
Yeah, or coffee or whatever.
I've never drank coffee. Pizza I'll eat, but I never drank coffee in my life. I'd probably explode if I did. Never had caffeine like that. So,
well, again, August 16th through the 18th, Mr. Mitch Hallock.
Uncasville, Connecticut. People don't know where that is. That's where Mohegan Sun is.
Yeah, straight up I-95, and then
follow
on.
the signs. I have 3 or 4 billboards on 95, so that's it.
Oh yeah, always see the big ones there.
Yeah.
For myself, also this weekend, Garden State Comic Fest here in New Jersey, 2-day
That's a
show.
great show. That's Dave O'Harris.
Yes, I've known Dave for a while too. Garden State Comic Fest, our buddy Ken Marion is set up all weekend, so make sure you go stop by there, and if you see me, stop by and say hi. So appreciate everybody. The Comic-Con podcast, season 4, episode 25. We'll catch you all next week.
Later.
Hey, comic book collectors, do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCon15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.